Thank you for joining us. This is our first episode of Hard Talk Made Easy. My name is Brian Siegel, and I am a somatic relationship coach. What somatics means is that somatic means how we feel things in our body. It's got to do with the sensations and feelings that we've got in our body. And what I've discovered is when we bring that into our conversation, it helps us change the conversation. So you might notice that my voice slows down a bit and speeds up a bit, and that's all input that I'm getting from my body. It might sound new to you, but it's a very powerful way of us being able to communicate within relationships. I actually grew up as an engineer, very logical, very structured thinking. And what I discovered within my relationships was when I speak with my logic, it creates a whole lot of distortions. It creates what I call a binary pattern of either you are right and I'm wrong, or I'm right and you're wrong. And what I'm wanting to do is just feel what happens to you if we're in disagreement. And if I'm right, that means that you are. And feel what happens. Feel how possibly you want to argue back, or feel how you possibly triggered. And so many of our relationship conversations are about me proving that I'm right, or that I'm moral, or that I'm the better one, or that I'm correct. Whatever it is, that is our binary processor. And when we use that binary processor, it creates tension. If you can maybe just type a comment in. Thank you. It's all clear so far. Thanks, Lilo. I'm pleased you're enjoying it. So often we talk from that place of disconnection. What happens is when I get scared, I go into my logic. And very often we talk about men in their practicality and that being logic. And of course, that is one of the logical ways we have conversations. But also sometimes we go into our disconnected feelings. And in our disconnected feelings, I'm not really sharing about myself, but what I'm really doing is I'm transferring my feelings onto you. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to give you an example of what that feels like, and just feel what happens when I say to you something like, gee, I'm not really sure why you're here. Please, can you tell me why you're here? Why have you joined this conversation? I'm wanting to know if you're okay, if you're feeling good to join this conversation. I don't know if any of you can write a comment on what that makes you feel. So for most people, what happens is it creates a contraction. And in that contraction, it creates a withdrawal, and you don't know how to necessarily answer it. And so that also is the way that we very often speak about our feelings within logic. Lilo, I see you've got your hand is raised, and if you've got a question, that would be really great.
Yes, the question is first. Was the question looking at us to answer why we're here?
Yes. So what I'm saying is I can ask you why you're here in two different ways. If I was feeling insecure or something inside, I could ask it to you in a very pointed way. So, I'm not sure why you're here. Please tell me why you're here. I want your feelings on why you're here. And so what's happening is I'm answering it from what I call energetically wise, from my head. But can you feel how that makes you want to back away or contract? Lilo, did you feel that?
Yes, I heard it. Thank you.
Okay. And then I can ask it to you from a more connected way. And so what I'm really wanting to talk about is when you answer from a more connected way, it comes out very, very differently. And so maybe I could say, yes, it's your tone, but it's also when I go into my vulnerability, I can say, sure, I'm really scared of doing this broadcast. And so it would really help me if you share it with me while you're here. Lilo, can you feel how different that is?
Sorry for not raising my hand. With the first approach, as I said on the comments, the choice of words, actually, it's just, I don't want to say it's a bit harsh, but yeah, the tone as well also plays a very big role. But with the second one, you could say, okay, I feel like I'm being cared for in a way.
Yes, beautiful. That's exactly what happens. But it's not only in the tone of the voice, it's also my body. That if I tighten my body, and maybe my tone stays the same, or we communicate both through energy and through the words that I use. And so what I'm wanting to just indicate was within that, it has to do with our all coming from a different energetic center. In that when I begin to speak from my head, for me, I can feel the energy or the blood rushing to my head. And when I begin to be more vulnerable, so it is also about me starting off with sharing about myself, because I can't ask you to be vulnerable without me being vulnerable. I can't say, please share how you're feeling. It will automatically come across more aggressively. Whereas if I start sharing how I'm feeling, makes you feel safe to feel how you are sharing. And so how many conversations do we have in our relationships where we first want the other one to start sharing? We first want the other one to change. And so for me, it is more, how do I begin to change myself? And that is really very, very important aspect of communication. I'm just going to give you more of an indication of how different these communication styles are. Because at the moment, I'm speaking more from my somatic body, my central nervous system, and you're more than likely feeling more relaxed and more included. And if you are, please write in your comments. I can see Marietta's nodding. And in that, you're more than likely opening up to have a conversation. You're more than likely opening up to share more of yourself because we feel safer, we feel softer. And in the softness, we can explore even difficult and complex situations a lot more. I'm not sure if you can see that or agree with that, or maybe if one of you have got a topic that you want to talk about, you can unmute yourself and we can talk about it. But it's also about how I help you with relationships. So I don't know if you're experiencing any relationship difficulties or something that you want to share. If so, either pop it in the chat or unmute your mic and let's see what comes up. Yes, hi, Lilo.
Okay. Um, I feel like, okay, it's not something that I'm currently facing, but it's something that I've been seeing in our communities actually, where parents and children struggle to communicate, and children feel that the parents, I don't want to say parents are ruling them, but they just feel like they're not being listened. No one is listening to them. And for me, I feel like as a result, a lot of things happen in a child's life and the parent misses out on them because of them having the fear of not being able to address things to their parents and the parents reacting in an appropriate manner.
Beautiful. I love the example. And so just feel what happens to you. So I'm going to act as a parent and I'm asking you to act as a child. And so in my scare, I know how important it is for you to get good marks. And in my scare, I know how important it is for you to study. So the one way that I could really say to you is something like, Lilo, I just want to know if are you coping at school? Are you getting good marks? Is there any way I can help you? And how would you answer that question?
Okay, so I'll put myself as, okay, I'll go in as myself. Okay, so school's great at the moment, or it's bearable at least, because yes, but academically I don't think that I'll need help from you, but just a bit of support by loading off some of my work, my household chores, just so that I can actually just focus on my books a bit more.
So you're saying that the household chores are interfering.
In a way, yes, they are, because I sometimes take too long with them, and then I have less time for my school books. Yeah.
Okay, so here I'm talking more from my somatic body, more from my senses. You can see that soft, and so I can now examine and I can now think about what is my fear of why am I wanting you to do the chores, am I wanting you to, so you can see I'm closing my eyes, but I'm feeling my body. Am I wanting you to do the chores because I don't have time to do it? Or am I wanting you to do the chores because that's good discipline and that's being a good parent? And I'm wanting to teach you good manners and good grounding. And so for me, I'm going to go in and saying, for me, it's important that you do the chores because it gives you a good grounding. It gives you a good sense of discipline. And so I'm hearing that you're not coping with both. So maybe if you work harder at your schoolwork, then maybe I don't mind doing the chores for you. How does that feel?
The last statement about not minding to do the chores as long as I not excel, do well in my schoolwork.
Yeah.
The way that I was said before I actually answer, but the way that I was said, it's giving a sense of, I don't want to say you're giving me a choice, but it's kind of like you're threatening me now. Okay, like let's wait till we see your report, and if you did good, then maybe I'll actually consider whether or not you're not gonna do your chores.
Okay.
I don't know if that was the feel that I was supposed to get.
Beautiful. So now you're sharing your feelings. You're saying, gee, Brian, that's coming across as a threat. And I didn't mean it as a threat. What I was really explaining to you was I was really explaining to you that discipline and hard work is really important. And so I don't mind you not doing the homework, not doing the chores, the house chores now, but I'm wanting to see that you're still disciplined and that you're doing hard work. I don't want you to just laze around and be on social media and talking with your friends because that's not hard work. And for me, life is also got to do with hard work. And so as a parent, I'm really concerned that it's important for me to make sure that you work hard. That's really what I'm saying. I didn't mean to threaten you at all.
At school we were taught about time management and how we can actually manage between house chores and our schoolwork by creating some sort of timetable to organize our lives. But because, again, now this is me responding, but because we have a lot of work at school right now with all the subjects, there's a lot of pressure, and therefore I'm still learning how to manage my time. And while I'm trying to do that, I just need to take off some things so that I can just kind of not relax, but focus on, prioritize rather, yes.
So what are the few things that you'd like to take off? Is it the washing of the dishes after dinner?
That, yes, because after dinner I would actually just like to do my work.
Okay.
And then my bedroom I can clean. I don't mind because that is not even a chore that I have to be reminded of. But just the main chores like cleaning the actual house, like the whole house, like the dishes, and having to sweep the entire house and all of that. Just yeah, that.
So that's fine with me. And you're saying that it's only going to happen. And can we kind of look at it in a month's time when you're coping better with school and revisit that then?
Yes, that would be better because in this month's time, yeah, because that's not a long time. So within that month, I will actually be able to try and sort out my timetable and fit in my chores as well in there.
Beautiful. So what I'd like to do is say, let's deal with that in a month's time because you can't commit to a month. You don't know where you're going to be in a month. And I heard earlier on how when I tried to say, well, you get better marks, you felt pressurized because I was making you commit to something that you didn't know whether you could achieve. So I just want to know what you can achieve and how that feels.
Sorry?
Carry on. I'm really enjoying this. Thank you.
But when you say something and then later on that person that you've told that particular thing comes back with it and like uses it against you. Now that last statement sounded like that, but because literally
Thank
just got me thrown off.
So you're saying that I was doing okay, but that last statement made me less trusting of you. So
It did, yes, but at the same time, it was like using my words against me.
okay, so I didn't mean to use your words against you, and I apologize for that. And that wasn't my intention. It was just me trying to get my clarity for myself.
Understandable, but with me agreeing to the period of a month is me just not putting pressure on myself, but setting a timeline as to when I can actually have my things sorted out. Because if you're not gonna give me a timeline, then it might be the whole year. I might take advantage and just not do my chores for the entire school year.
All right. So I want to say that I trust you. And I'm saying that in a month's time, maybe you're still not coping with your work. And so let's have this conversation in a month's time. Because then you'll know whether you're coping with your work or not. And then we can have this conversation then, if that's good with you.
No, it's good with me then.
So what I'd like to find out is, let's just pause that conversation for now and just share with me what it feels like for you to have a conversation like this.
Okay, before I answer as
Okay.
the character, I'll just answer with what I felt from this. It
Absolutely.
just felt like the parent was there to listen and actually considered what the child was saying, right? And in most cases, we don't get that. We don't get that. You'll ask, for example, like the example that we just had now, with the chores. If you tell this to your parent that you need to not stop doing chores, but you just need to put a hold on or just load some things off, you will be scolded out for something and be told that you're not responsible, or at school you're just playing around, hence you left behind, and all of these other things. And in their understanding, they just reprimanding you from slacking at school and all of that. Whereas, because if you came with an approach where you were shouting at me and all of that, then the conversation would not even be where it was at with us, and it wouldn't have taken that long. It would have just been you scaling me out, and then I'm like, okay, cool, it's fine, I'll just do my chores, and then continue slacking at school. And when I do get bad marks, you wouldn't understand why I'll be getting bad marks, or I would be getting bad marks. So yeah, but now
So
going back to the question. Um,
I want to say beautiful. I want to say beautiful,
sorry.
beautiful, I want to say beautiful. You see, what happens is when either one of us creates a softness, creates a safety, we enable the other person to soften and to speak more. And that is really all that I've been doing, is I've been creating a softness or a safety for you to speak, for you to be heard. That's really the beautiful difference.
True, yes. But oh, I was gonna say something, but okay, I completely forgot. Sorry.
Thank you. What I'd like to do is I'd like to role play it differently with a more traditional approach that a parent would take. And I'm wanting all the listeners to feel how differently their body feels, because just all the listeners, I'm just wanting you to feel what's happening in your body. Are you feeling more open and more willing to engage in the conversation, in the listening to it? Or are you feeling, so I call it about that. Sometimes I can feel my body softening and opening and wanting to lean forward. And sometimes I can feel myself wanting to close and go back and not have the conversation. And that's such an important step within having this kind of a conversation. And yeah, we'll do this example. And so let's role play it again. And this time I'll be that more traditional parent, and just see what happens in your bodies. Are you ready to go, Lilo?
Yes.
Okay, so we're starting again. Hello, how's school?
School is great. Kind of coping with the work, but yeah, it's a bit stressing.
So you're stressed at school, you're not coping.
Yes.
You know it's important to get good marks. You know, your whole life is based on getting good marks at school.
Yes, but because of the pace that the teacher is using, I feel like I'm being left behind because the teacher doesn't cater for me in a way.
But can't you go and ask her that you're not coping and ask her, why don't you go and speak to her?
I have tried, but then because she can't be set back because of one learner, so unfortunately for me, I'll have to catch up on my own.
But how are you going to do that? I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Do you want me to give
I
you a lesson?
was actually more,
Give you lessons. I mean, I know how to read or write, or so. Let me teach you. How open are you to for me to teach you? You know, I am your dad, so let me teach you.
I mean, you don't really need to. I just need I just need more time to actually focus on my work. Fish, I was gonna ask you if it would be fine that I stop doing the dishes,
But
if
you're
I
being
stop doing the dishes after dinner. Yeah.
But that's you being lazy. I don't know why. I mean, you're on your phone for so many hours. Surely you can be on your phone for like half an hour less, and you know it's important that you have discipline. How else am I going to discipline you? How else am I going to give you these good values that you need for the success of your life?
In that case, I would not have an answer. I would literally be just because now, as you're speaking, my heart is just. Honestly, I would not have an answer. No, it's me too, Mariette. I would want to run because, oh my gosh, honestly, I would just freeze and look at you and not have an answer for you.
So what I'm really showing is it's up to me to have the conversation with you, even if I'm the student or if I'm the adult, the parent. If I'm able to have a softer conversation with you, I pull you into the conversation, I open the conversation. And if I close the conversation, I close the conversation for both of us. That was so beautifully. Thank you. So,
No, thank you.
okay. Can I do one more experiment?
Oh,
Thank you. Okay. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to not speak from your logic, but speak from what's happening in your body. So I heard you saying, oh, I can feel my heart is beating fast and I want to run away. And so what I'm wanting you to do is I'm just wanting you to speak that as I speak from that, I'm just wanting you to speak purely about what's happening in your body and not really answer my questions from the logic. Does that make sense? So this is take three.
so
Three. Okay, so Lilo, how's school?
so can I just understand this? I don't give you an answer, but I tell you what I feel from what you say.
So when you're feeling
Like,
threatened, give that feeling of what's happening in your body. So if I ask you how is school, at the moment I'm not being too threatened. So you can say school is okay. And so you can have the conversation, but the moment you feel that that you are threatened, that you're feeling less safe, share with me what's happening in your body.
okay.
Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, great. So let's go again. So, hi Lilo, how's school?
School is great, but a bit hectic.
Why? You've just started. Are you
Yeah,
coping?
but sort of, but the teacher is kind of moving at a very fast pace, so
What
I'm
do you mean?
kind of behind.
So answer from your body. So when I say, what do you mean sort of?
Okay, my heart just started, but okay. Because of that, your tone just went up, but yeah. Okay.
You just answer from your heart and just kind of saying, sure, I can feel how my heart is beating and I'm scared.
Yeah. I just feel like I have a lump on my throat, firstly, and my heart is kind of starting like to beat fast. So yeah.
So what that does is that automatically forces me to change stack. I can't really carry on attacking you. It's hard for me to say, well, what do you mean that you've got a heart, that you've got a lump on your throat? And so, and so, and so what happens is something you're forcing me to change. You're forcing me to soften because you're sharing your experience of what is happening in your body, in your somatic body. I don't know if you can sense that.
No,
And
yeah, yeah.
says, thanks, Lilo, you're doing great. That's a comment.
Nikita.
Or let's just carry on that conversation. So you're saying, I'm feeling scared. I can feel, I've got a lump in my throat. I'm feeling scared. Just say that to me.
Okay. I'm kind of feeling scared right now. There's a lump in my throat and my heart is starting to beat very fast.
So that automatically now wants me to say, but why? What's wrong?
The way you just went on and was like, what do you mean? Like, it was like you asking me, how is it possible that I'm being left behind as if I'm not supposed to be left behind?
Okay. So beautiful. So then I can say, but I'm really concerned about you. I'm hearing that you're not coping at school and I'm really scared. I know how important school is. But you see how when we come back to that contraction that we feel in our body, it stops the person. Whereas when we go into logic, we give them rope to hang ourselves.
But okay, honestly, when you just asked, when you just said now that you're concerned about me,
Mm-hmm.
maybe the lump just went away, but at the same time, it's like, okay, you started with, what do you mean you being left behind? And most of the times, it's like, okay, now I can't speak honestly because you freaked out when I spoke honestly the first time. And now it's like, now there's already a barrier or something that's preventing me from actually speaking honestly as well.
Okay, so what you're talking about is flow. So when there's
Yes.
flow, the conversation changes dramatically. And our feelings are flowing, and you feeling my feelings, and I'm feeling your feelings, and you feeling my feelings, and I'm feeling your feelings. And in that, we can talk more honestly. But when there's no flow, it is like me talking honestly like this and saying, so what's happening at school? And tell me what's happening. And I'm not listening to you, and I'm just shouting at you, and you're just shouting back at me. And so we're having a conversation like this, where there's no flow. And so when there's no flow, there's no point in having a conversation at all, because answer me. Why aren't you answering?
Because basically, you're not listening. You are listening, but you're not listening.
What do you mean I'm not listening? Of course I'm listening. So what happens is in that you're feeding the disconnect. And so what you need to first create connection before you answer. Because in that I'm in my reactive state, I'm in my scared state, I've shut down. And so as I've shut down, I've contracted, and so I can't listen. And now you're saying you're not listening. Well, what is that going to do? Am I going to say, hallelujah, quite right, I'm not listening? Or am I going to go more reactive? And so when you bring it back, when you bring my awareness back into my body, into my tension, and you can say, and I'm so scared of this conversation. What that does is it also takes me out of my mind, and it allows the connection to flow, because I'm also scared of the conversation. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. Yes.
Okay. That's really what we're doing. So it's about how we step into flow first, and how we establish flow before we have the conversation. And if there's no flow, then don't have the conversation. Dad, I'd rather have this conversation with you tomorrow. Or I'm scared. So once again, to bring connection, I'm scared it's going to turn into a fight. Or I'm scared that you're not going to hear me. And just keep it simple. You see, when I keep it simple and saying, I'm just scared that it's going to turn into a fight, try and answer me. How do you answer, Lilo?
When you say I'm scared it will turn into a fight, I think um the parent who is now shouting and doing all of this, from what I would assume, they would just basically internally they would stop and be like, whoa, okay, so I'm scaring him or her. Let me just okay, they'll probably want to try a different approach at the same time, or they will just be like, okay, cool, we'll talk about it some other time.
So beautiful. So you see what happened is in that you're creating the flow, you're creating the space. Whereas if I gave you more logic and I said, gee, I'm scared that we're going to have a fight. You know, last time we had this conversation, we had a fight, and I'm scared there's going to be a fight again. How would you answer me now?
Now, that just seems like the child is attacking because you're bringing things from the past, and it's a mess. It's a mess.
Thank you. So you see the beauty of just giving the feelings without the logic. So my feelings is I'm scared. The logic is this has happened so many other times and there's a repeat pattern. And the moment I step into my logic, I give you the rope to hang me.
And automatically the parent thinks it's now all of a sudden a blame game.
Correct. Beautiful. I mean, it's amazing. What I'm really amazed at, this is the first conversation that we're having. And what I'm amazed is just how much of this conversation you're getting. And just how much of the conversation you're feeling and you're understanding it. So what I'm wanting you to do is when you go out this week, feel what happens in your body and have that conversation from your body, that when you feel your body tightening, know that you need to recreate connection, that you need to loosen and create that looseness in the body before you have the conversation more.
I'll try that. I'll try that and then bring feedback next time.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. It's been very special talking to you. I'm touched, deeply touched by it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add or say?
I don't think so, but I actually just enjoyed the whole thing. It was actually quite comforting and it was great. It was great. Thank you.
You've been absolutely great. Thank you. So that's why we call this Hard Talk Made Easy. Because things like school marks for a parent are very anxious, provoking, they're hard. There's an expectation of children to be to exceed far better than maybe what they can do. And so it's about how we regulate things beautifully and differently. And thank you for that. Before we swap to somebody else, I'm just saying that this is once a week. It's going to be always at this time with the same link. I'm going to post an email address. So if you want to stay informed of this, please give us your email address so we can email you. So we're going to just give you that email address. Thank you. Great to learn. It can be so easy to communicate because most relationships are hard. Of course, relationships are challenging. Thank you. And then what I'm going to do is I'm also going to just say that we've also got on a Tuesday night from 7 to 8:30, something called a dialogue circle, where it's a group of people and we talk more about their techniques and we practice their techniques more and we dive deeper into it. So if you're wanting to book for that, there's a link over there. And what you can do is you can, the first one is free if you're using the booking code. What is the booking code? Curious. Then it's free. These talks on a Monday are always free, and you please tell your friends. And I'd love to have more and more people joining it because it's really, really important that we learn how to communicate with our relationship partners, whether that's being our partner or our children or our parents. And Lilo, what you really have done is you've said so beautifully that it's also the child that can calm the parent down. And so the child can also teach the parent better communication skills as well. And so it works both ways. Thank you. I've really appreciated this. Is there anything else that somebody wants to talk about their relationship? If there's no other questions, or let us wait a few more minutes if somebody else has got a question to ask, then maybe that's where we leave it for now, because I also don't want to get into a habit of just having to waffle to full time to fill an hour. And so next time, then there might be more people participating with more questions. And it's really about how I help you. So even if you want to type a question that you want me to answer, that's also okay. But I would like that feedback of what is moving through you now that I can answer, as opposed to me just rambling off for the sake of talking. Yes, you will have access to the recording. It will be on our YouTube channel. If you Google hashtag Brian Siegel method, sometime tomorrow we'll put it up. And so I'd love you to share it with your friends, and I'd love you to give it to your, just share it, and it will be on social media. So that's, yes, definitely. The idea is, so the idea of this is, so thank you for that question. The idea is that this recording is public. And so it will help everybody who listens to it to learn a bit more about what I call somatic talking, as opposed to our logic talking. So thank you. Thank you for that question. Beautiful. Thank you. What a beautiful first session. I'm feeling warm and soft. And even though I can't see you, there's a part of me that feels quite connected to you, quite well received. And so what I'm also understanding is energy also works when we can't see each other. It still works then. I'm not sure how you guys are feeling, but maybe type a few words of what you're feeling. And just sense in your body. So for me, feelings are sensations that I feel in my body. So just feel what's happening in your body, and just describe something that's happening in your body. So it can either be tense or contracted, or my heart is beating, or it can say that I'm feeling more relaxed, or I can feel my breathing easily, or whatever's happening. I don't want to give you suggestions, but just feel what happens when flow is there, when connection is there, when we create this beautiful dialogue. Ah, okay. So I was sitting far back in my chair and now leaning forward. You see, that's supposed to be more connected. I can also feel myself leaning forward. And that's because I'm wanting to engage more. And so I lean forward. And when I'm scared, I'll automatically want to move back. And so it's beautiful, 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 beautiful remark, beautiful feeling.
I'm feeling hopeful because it seems that it would be easier than what I thought to connect with everybody in my life, because it's so easy to disconnect from people. And I mean, whether it's your kids, your parents, your friends, co-workers, it's easy to be misunderstood. But if you use these techniques, and if you just pause a little bit, you'll be able to save relationships and thrive.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. That was lovely. Yes, and Mariette was talking about disconnect. And so the softness that we feel is connection. The opposite of that is disconnect. So when I was that more stern parent, that created disconnection, that created scare. And that is really what is that sensation of just learning to understand the difference between connection and disconnection. And it's a learning that when I'm disconnected, not to try and engage, because then we'll just engage in reactivity. And it will become a shouting match of who can shout or manipulate or maneuver the best. And so it's about how we return to the safety and the softness. So thank you. Oh, I loved the fact that you interacted as well, Lilo. Thank you. It was such a beautiful conversation. And it was such a needed conversation, because how many students feel that? And how many students don't know how to speak to their parents? And why I'm putting it that way is because if we can teach students how to speak to their parents, we can change the world as well. It's not only parents teaching children, but for me, the greatest gift of being a father was what they taught me. And so it's very important for us to get that flow back, that as a father, yes, I teach my children, but as my children, they also teach me about life, about compassion, about so many other things. And it's that flow that is so, so beautiful. Thank you. So with that, I'm going to say thank you and goodbye. And we're going to see you 8 o'clock next week. And that will be very beautiful to see you.